Alright, we are now live. Hopefully everyone's having a good week or end of the week, and hopefully everyone's going to have a good Friday. Gonna wait a few more moments before we get into this crypto market update. We'll be talking about altcoins, BTC, as well as some of the tools that we use to analyze the altcoin market, which we'll get into a little bit later in the video. So I'm going to wait a few more moments, and then we're going to jump into BTC. It has broken out of its descending wedge to the downside. Ideally, it would have been nice to see a little bit further contraction, but at this point in time, I do think that it has broken out. We do see very valid zones on the resistance that we can say has been respected and has been broken, and we can also see the key level of the previous high is now at a new level of support. So overall, I do think it does look bullish. That's going to be the overarching thesis for this entire video is BTC is probably going to continue going up. Okay, let's get the recorder. Just wanted to let a few people in, or wait a few more moments before we jump right into the video, but I'm going to get the recorder started right now, and we can start with BTC, and then we'll go on to well, starting from a large time frame, go on to a smaller time frame, and then we will go on to different assets and tools here. All right, so hey traders, welcome to another crypto market update. Like always, we're going to start this crypto market update looking first at Bitcoin, and then we're going to go into the other tools that we normally look at to have an understanding of the altcoins as well as the market cap of BTC and the dominance of Bitcoin. So what we're looking for is a potential pullback. I don't think we're going to get to the initial range that we were anticipating at around 10.5. That was a key level of resistance that we see got rejected. We were unable to pass that key level since around September of 2019. So we've had 1 test, 2, 3, 4 rejections of that zone. We finally had an impulse push that was able to break that key level. We did get a retest of that zone with this big wick that we got on August 2nd. So we have validated it in my eyes, and we're just now looking for a continuation pattern. We were talking about a descending wedge or descending triangle potentially form with a series of lower highs, and that's, in my opinion, exactly what we're getting right now. So overall, it does look more bullish in my opinion, and I think this consolidation could end here in the next we'll look at a smaller time frame, but I do think that the next opportunity is going to be to the further upside move for Bitcoin as well as a lot of the alts, because Bitcoin does have to be moving to the upside usually for most alts to be going up. It could just be consolidating, but usually if Bitcoin is going to move down, alts will follow. Now going on to a smaller time frame, we do see this first high got rejected extremely aggressively, and then we see it hover around. We were looking for a series of lower highs to connect a trend line with, and that's exactly what we got. Right here on the second high, in my opinion, we do have a descending wedge, which is a descending resistance, which is more descending than a support zone. And we see a resistance turn to 1, 2 support. So that's going to be the support zone, and then all throughout the lower highs there, we see it reject and push the price down yet again and again. So we know that that's going to be a key level for supply. Now coming in on the 4 hour, let's just get a little bit more granular. We're looking for a zone of confluence with this descending zone along with a previous high that was significant. We see if we zoom back, this was a previous high at around 11.6. If we're going to go back and take it to the previous time frames, it was support, resistance, support, and it also was a right there support as well. So overall, it does validate in the previous historic time frames and price movements as a zone of sensitivity. So that's going to be a key zone that we were looking at and has validated. So the next big push that we're going to be probably going to be seeing, let's get our brush, is going to be a push breaking these previous highs here around 12K. So 12K is going to be the next main zone of resistance, which is right around there. And I think once we break that zone, we'll be looking for a pullback to validate the 12K zone. So to be looking for an impulsive push similar to what we got here. That was a very impulsive push. This candle right here is an impulsive candle. It broke the previous high as well as the descending zone. If we want to go on to the 1 hour chart, we can see this is a very well respected zone. So let's go like so. And we can see our first validation. This is our anchor point. We see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lots of validation that this is an area of sensitivity for the sellers. And once we got our impulsive push right here on the 4 hour candle, that's just one candle. That's a strong push to the upside basically. And on a 1 hour, it's multiple. And then now we're seeing the pullback. And it does look like we are potentially moving to the upside. So overall, I am pretty bullish on BTC. I think it actually will potentially break over the weekend. There's a tendency for Bitcoin to actually move over the weekend, surprisingly, because usually there's low volume. Sometimes it's on the Sunday, which then would be a Monday for like Asia, Australia, New Zealand, all like those types of located countries. Or nations. So that could be an opportunity on Sunday. I do think that the overarching message that I'm trying to convey is I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I'm extremely bullish on Ethereum. We talked about Ethereum within our Discord, and we'll look at it after we look at the other tools that we use to analyze the altcoin market, but I am bullish on both assets. Overall, I do think that both investments and trades, the two pools should be both long at this point, and only looking for longs on the trades just because it does not make sense to try to short the market. My personal view, especially just in terms of Bitcoin, alts does make sense if you're going to get a move to the downside. It could be quite aggressive, but for BTC at this point, it just does not make sense to be looking for shorts. So I'm only looking and I'm only taking longs. So that's going to be in my analysis. If you really want to go like this, not absolutely ideal. I would like to saw a nice descending zone. We do have a nice retest of a new high because it broke that previous high. Did get a squeeze, although not absolutely ideal. Yeah, overall, it does look like it's just pulling back after the small impulsive move, and it's going to make that next push to the upside. And this is a small impulsive move, if you're looking back even further, to the strong impulsive move. So, and this is a consolidation after a strong impulsive move, right? So it's all fractals. And this is an impulsive move after this big consolidation. So if you're looking at it in fractals, you can find patterns everywhere. So in my personal opinion, it does look pretty bullish, and I do think that we should be looking for opportunities, especially if it starts to really break 12K and retest and validate and have a big wick to the downside, indicating buy pressure, picking it right back up. I do think that's a good opportunity to then potentially dip buy and then look for longs. Alright, so now we're going to look at some of the tools that we use to analyze the markets. We do see that the BTC dominance is moving to the downside, which does indicate to us that altcoins are taking more of the market share. Definitely makes sense where we see things like Ethereum do better than Bitcoin. We see Link do way better than Bitcoin. And we'll look at some other altcoins that have done really well in the past as well. VeChain has done really well recently, so yeah, we'll be taking a look at some other alts. This is going to be the total market cap for altcoins, so excluding Bitcoin, what's the market cap of the cryptocurrency market? And we can see it has broken this previous level of resistance that the candles were unable to pass on the daily chart, and now we do see a breakthrough. And if we're looking on a smaller time frame, we do see there is a nice little retest. So here's that strong impulsive candle that pushed the price or pushed the market cap above these key levels of resistance. We got a small consolidation Didn't really quite pull it back all the way to the zone of validation, but we did get some market breadth, and then we are getting next are now strong impulsive moves. So overall, the altcoins are definitely something to be looking to long for sure. And then the BTC volatility, not a whole lot of discussion from the last time we talked about it. We're still looking for that strong expansion in volatility. Ideally, it would come after the 12K zone, so it would kind of hover, break the 12K, and then really move to the upside, expanding in volatility, which then we would have something like this, where we have a staircase, kind of like we saw back in April of 2019. That's kind of ideally what we're looking for. So let's go back here. What happened at the start or spring of 2019? We had a 4.2K to 14K run. So let's bring it all the way back to right around here. Right, so 4.2K, so that was the break, around 4.2K to 14K, maybe it was a little under, 13.8, 13.9, somewhere around there. So obviously it was a massive move, but in terms of the small consolidation we had leading up to that big move, we did have something pretty similar right here. We had such a small amount of price movement for a long time. We had our strong impulsive move, and I think that the volatility is still going to expand towards the upside, not only because of just that, but also looking at the large time frames, doing our multi-time frame analysis, top-down approach. In my opinion, gives us a good illustration of the bulls gaining confidence and having a higher probability of continuing to be more confident than the bears than the opposite way around, in my personal view. So that's going to be the bias. Obviously, understanding where Bitcoin is and having the correct analysis on Bitcoin will really, really give you high odds of success in the altcoin market. You're never going to be 100%. You're never going to be able to get it every single time. But definitely really trying to grasp what Bitcoin's doing is very, very helpful when you're trying to trade the crypto market. All right. It's like understanding what the S&P would be doing. It's a pretty good indicator because a lot of the stocks in the stock market in the US do follow the S&P. They're pretty correlated, right? Both risk on assets, stuff like that. So, all right. So now that we understand all that, we're not really going to get into the gaps. There's not a whole lot. There's a gap all the way down there. But like we said, it basically took like 4 or 5 months for one of the gaps to fill, and they don't necessarily need to fill. You know, there's no regulation or anything. It's just something that happened in the market, you know, a decent amount of the time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's necessary. All right, let's now go into the altcoin market here. Let's first look at VeChain, and then we'll look at Chainlink. Does look like it's pulling back here to the nice level of support at around 1660. It's pretty crazy that we're at that zone. We will take a look at the larger time frames, but it does look like it is aggressively moving to the upside. So I think that opportunity for a parabolic move is approaching. And we do see that some of these runs are getting steeper and more parabolic. So it does get more volatile. You do have to set wider stop losses, but you just trade less money and you're able to basically manage the same amount of risk each time, no matter what you're trading or how volatile of a market that you're trading. So definitely some risk management parameters that you do have to be disciplined with. Let's go take a step down a daily chart here just to understand where we currently are on VeChain. Okay, so what do we currently see? I currently see a squeeze that occurred something like this. You could also go like this. And then you got a break and retest of a significant zone. We see our first rejection, second rejection, third rejection, and then we see a nice level of support get created right there. And then we also see yet again a nice level of support get created right there. And then now we're getting another squeeze into a potential move to the upside. So we'll see if that does play out on a smaller time frame. So that was that big descending triangle there. This is that next squeeze that we're seeing, and it does look like we're potentially bottoming out here. And like I said, that the 0.021-ish area is the key level that I personally would like to see break before we do get any sort of opportunity to gain exposure on this asset, because we do see that was a point where we absolutely capitulated. We rejected once, and then we rejected yet again another time, and then that was a key level of resistance and a key level of support back in that structure in there. So pretty important zone. We do see a bottoming, so we do see a series of lower lows and then higher lows coming in. So we just need that first strong impulsive candle to come in, and then ideally we get a nice little pullback, ideally a nice little candle closure with a wick maybe touching our previous level of resistance as a new level of support, and that's when we're looking to gain some exposure before the impulsive push to the upside. So that's going to be the opportunity on VeChain. Definitely still a little bit too early, but I do think the opportunity is present if it starts to break market structure, breaking the 0.021 range. Range meaning I see a potential level where that's the bottom. And let's just get rid of that. And then that's going to be the bottom, and then you're looking for something along the lines of a lower high, higher high, lower high, higher high, lower high, and then a strong push where the market structure is on a trend, right? Not consolidating. So that's VeChain. And then the large next zone of a potential target is going to be around 0.023, because that was the height of the descending triangle formation. So it's going to be the first target, which we do have quite a bit of room before we hit that area. So we got a good amount of risk reward that we could be hitting for VeChain here if it does actually play out and come to fruition. We'll see what it does. In my opinion, it's definitely still a little bit too early, and then this zone right here has been a very significant area, so I want to make sure that I'm having entries at the most dependable locations, and in my opinion that would be that location. Let's now go into Chainlink. This has been obviously extremely unbelievably doing well, really. So we see that overall, when we look at a large time frame, we are aggressively pushing to the upside. Now, we don't want to FOMO in, but we still want to look for continuation, because if Bitcoin's going up, this could just go exponential, and we want to be in exponential opportunities before they turn exponential. This does look exponential, but sometimes they can push to a point where it kind of seems unbelievable. If we remember back in like October, November, December of like the fall into winter of 2017 was pretty unbelievable. All right, so let's now go into the smaller time frames and just discuss this move that happened, and now we're looking for something along the lines of this, along the lines of this, and that was the big setup right there, right? This big descending triangle right there, big retest candle, and then you get this series of higher highs and higher lows, right? So now we're in another potential continuation pattern. We're aggressively kind of making a parabolic move to the upside. I do still think it has opportunity to move up, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC, and then you could argue, depending on how you want to look at it, but I view this as when the massive impulsive move started, and it was this point right here. It was trending. I view this as a trend, and then it just became absolutely insane, right? So you got your 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And I think you're going to get your fifth. And the third one is larger than the first. So then the fifth could be as large as the third, could be larger, but it shouldn't be smaller than this one right here. So that's going to be what we're going to be looking for just in terms of the Elliott wave, just as another indicator and another tool that we like to use. And then we're going to go on to the 2 hour and then see what we're able to identify as well. So still definitely a little bit too early. What we like to see is something like this, where you see a nice consolidation down. It's very structured. It's very, I can't say organized, but it's very very easy to understand the kind of direction of the market during this phase because it's contracting, right? You see there is a level of support. The price is not going below this level, right? And you see this descending zone. It's giving you a decision. So it's structured, right? There's options that the market will play out as. It doesn't mean just because it's going to break a resistance as well as break the market structure horizontally. Like I would go on this zone right here, just because it was the zone right there, and then it tests right there. Just because it breaks both of those zones does not mean that it's going to go up every single time. There's no real, unless you're algo trading, if you're discretionary trading, there's no real system that lets you win 100% of the time. So when you're looking for these structures, you just have to be able to manage risk very well and let the winners run. And that's what we're going to be looking for in this next structure. So we do see that same level of support right around there that we like to see for a descending triangle formation. Now, what I don't love is I would like to see a higher low come in. Maybe that's a little bit too high. And then let's get this zone. Something like that, because then we have something to work with in terms of a series of lower highs. Where right now we don't really have anything to work with. We could go like this, but this is a little bit too aggressive in my opinion, so we'd like to see something along the lines of that. We can go into a smaller time frame and look, because this is still the 2-hour, so not a whole lot of nice structure. We can see, for example, this zone, very nice structure, right? Extremely nice. On the 1-hour execution time frame, you see the wick high was the anchor point. You don't see a single candle close above a zone. You see wicks, that's totally fine, still very well respected. Great looking structure, right? At this point, we don't really see that great looking structure yet, so we're going to be patient. We're going to look for an opportunity to come, but in terms of exact trades that we are looking at, don't really think this is proven itself to be a well-defined structure for us to trade just yet. Alright, so that's going to be the first set of alts. I'm just going to be taking a look at BTC. Just like so. Alright, and then now we're going to be looking at Ethereum, because we did talk about Ethereum within the Performante Premium members section while it was in the triangle, talking about if it breaks 400, if it breaks 410, we should be looking for opportunities. And it has not pulled back to the point that we would like. 418, I was looking at 410, which is just down there. Fortunately, it didn't pull back exactly, but even putting feeler trades in here, I think it's definitely worth it, because what a feeler trade is it allows you to get exposure. Let's say right now you think you're too late for Ethereum. Okay, well, it just broke out. If you're looking at a small time frame, it just broke out of a zone, right? So if you're looking at this zone right here, you may not get the absolute best entry, but that is, in my opinion, a valid structure for sure. So what we're looking for is some level where we can look to enter. You could be a little bit more patient, look right here. But the thing is, within this larger structure, because you have a high probability of it continuing, in my opinion, you could theoretically leave a little bit so it retests the $4.10, $4.07 range. So this is the power of feeler trades. You might not want to risk this entire thing, but maybe up to here, and you put maybe 10% of your total position in there, and that would be the risk, and then the rest of your position could be risked up to either there or even tighter, and then your minimum level of target would be this zone right there. That would be the completion of this potential zone, and then you'd be looking to use some form of a system to try to let the trade run. You could be using Just trailing stops, you could be manually moving it up every single time you hold a level of support. You could be using a moving average. You could be using a parabolic SAR. You could be using, when moving average crosses, or when an RSI goes to a certain point, or whatever the system is. That system does have to allow you to let profits run if the market allows you to have that opportunity handed to you. So that's going to be Ethereum. If it does come back to around 410, that would be a really phenomenal opportunity. But at this current moment, I don't think it's going to get there. So I think the next level of support that we would potentially be looking for is around 430. 431, 430. If it goes a little bit higher at 435, then so be it. But we do currently see an ascending triangle formation, which is a very bullish consolidation or price action pattern after this long consolidation, where this does look like it's a great squeeze that we're seeing within a high, and it's a great consolidation after a strong impulsive push. Overall, I'm very bullish on Ethereum. I do think if you have no Ethereum, you should be looking, and if you want some exposure in the crypto market, Ethereum may be a good opportunity for those that are looking for a little bit more speculation and a little bit more, not really diversification, because Ethereum and Bitcoin are very correlated, but look at it like gold and silver to some degree. Bitcoin is the safe haven within the crypto market. Ethereum is getting up there. It's the second highest market cap, but it moves more to the upside when there's a bull run, on average, or a bullish environment, I should say. So that's going to be Ethereum. We're now going to get into Binance Coin, and it does look like we broke our major zone around 22.75, somewhere around there. That's going to be the major level that we did want to see the price break. We see that there was a massive impulsive push that occurred within this expansion zone. Not really great. I don't love trading expansions or broadening zones. You could go like that and kind of play it that way. So that would form a little bit more of a channel. I can't really call it a wedge. I guess you could, but at this point in time, you could also use a horizontal zone that's respected as a resistance, which turned into a support zone. But the main focus for this structure is this very well-respected descending zone, as well as the break in the horizontal level right around here. So not only did a descending zone break, which was kind of a hit in confidence for the bears, but we also broke market structure in this high. So I think the confidence is now skewed towards the bulls. But first, let's just quickly go to the daily chart to understand why this zone is gray. We see big rejection right there and major level of support for this big kind of obscure head and shoulders somewhat looking structure in a key level of resistance back in January of 2018. So we're kind of nearing this major level at around $25 for BNB, and we just wanted to illustrate that by showing a gray zone going across our chart. But we do have quite a bit of space before we get to that zone, and we're on a strong uptrend. We're making strong higher highs and higher lows. The momentum and the aggressiveness is increasing, meaning the highs are getting higher and the lows are getting to be higher lows, like increasing higher lows. So overall, it does look like we're just in a small pullback and a small consolidation before our next leg higher. That's going to be the bias that I have. And the 2270-ish range is going to be the nice level of support that we do want to see the price hold. So seeing something like this where we get a connection of potential, let's get this white like this. Kind of like that. That would be ideal, and then you'd be looking for something along the lines of that, right? That would be the perfect situation that we would like to find ourselves in. Doesn't always happen, and it could be quicker, but we're looking for not only a descending zone, but also a horizontal zone for the price to break. So that's going to be BNB. I think you could just be looking for a pullback and then a retest of the 2270 zone. But I personally like to see extra confirmation with a squeeze after a strong impulsive push like we saw right here. Alright, so that's going to be the two assets there. And I think we'll look at the relative strength and weakness tool that we like to use, which is going to be this thing right here. Okay. So I see ALGO, Link, and SXP. So let's go here. We already talked about Link. So we got comp. Let's do ALGO. And Cardano. Let's just do this for now. SXP USDT. Because these are the highest flyers of the bunch. We will want to make sure that they have decent amount of volume, but I'm just going to see what they're actually looking right now, because this is like the most speculative of the most speculative. Okay, well, we broke the range. This is that range that I'm talking about right there. And now we're making a pretty strong push to the upside. And that's all we can kind of tell from the weekly chart. Next level of resistance is right around there. So we're sort of near it. And other than that, there's not a whole lot more to discuss. And let's just put these at candle closures on the weekly, because candle closures do signify a pretty important level within the chart. And then when you're looking at it from the daily, we had no idea that these zones were going to be so validated. And when we go to a smaller time frame, look how perfectly validated they are, right? We didn't even draw this on the daily. We could, yes, argue that that could be there and that could be there, but pretty well respected in my opinion, in my view. All right, so now that we are able to understand what's kind of ahead of us and what's been behind us, just a very well respected bottoming. Can't really say it's a double bottom. This is a lower bottom, but I guess you could classify this as a double bottom. So then this is that major breakout zone that we needed to pass right there. And now we're in a breakout. So let's get our arrow and just do the absolute minimum this needs to kind of go. So it matches perfectly in line with our next key level of resistance right there. So we do have some space for our target. So then we'll look for some continuation patterns. So let's go on to a smaller time frame and define some market structure. We got a nice squeeze that we saw right here, which turned into a level of support. We got another little level of resistance right around there. And then when we go into a smaller time frame, we ideally like to see something along the lines of this. And then you get your target hit right there, and you'd be looking for an entry there, target right there, stop loss there, target, stop loss. That's like a 2.5-ish risk reward, which is good for me. So that's going to be an opportunity for ALGO just to continue the trend. That's how I would do it. That's how I would attack this price action that we currently see within the market. So that's going to be ALGO. Let's look at SXP, because that's going to be another high flyer alt that we are going to be looking at today. Let's remove the drawings. Just see what we're able to understand on the weekly chart. I know there's not a whole lot of data, but I just like to see how the candles close and all that. Wow, after this, it's just been on a tear. Okay, well, it's holding support after this massive expansion, so that's good. This ascending triangle formation that broke the price out. Got a strong pullback, but it's not breaking below this low. So you know that there's a lot of demand around 380. Does look like it's bottoming here. Lots of wicks to the downside. No real sign of sell pressure absolutely destroying the support there. Got a little minor zone right there, so that's going to be the small market structure that we would like to see break, but we do see a potential situation like so. And let's get the projection. Just going to extend this out a little bit further. There we go. Cool. Okay, so we got a strong level of support. Let's just close this off. Just because we can use this. At around 380 for SXP. Like so. And then we see a squeeze occurring within the market where we see a strong level of demand hold the price above. And then a descending zone squeezing the price towards the apex of the structure, which is around 390-ish. So we're inevitably going to see either a break to the downside, which we're not going to look for shorts, or if we do see a break towards the upside, breaking around maybe 440, somewhere around there, 445, that would be a really, in my opinion, good opportunity to be looking for a continuation move to the upside. That's going to be SXP. Let's also take a look at XRP because that's been on here as well, and a lot of people are interested in XRP. It's been in a great consolidation. So this was a little bit of a fake out for sure. So let's just remove all drawings, start from the weekly, and then work our way down. So this 30-cent range we've been talking about is a major level for the price, right? We see it from around, let's say around here to, let's say around here. If we go to the monthly, maybe it's a little bit more clear of where it exactly is. Yeah, it's right around there, right? And we have not passed this zone, this 30 to 29 and a half cent zone. So we want to, in my opinion, if you want the most dependability, you want it to pass this zone. But if you want to look for trades before it actually closes above it, that's a risk that you are willing to take. So this horizontal zone is absolutely a crucial level to pass for XRP. Once it passes it, I think we could see a very, very strong push to the upside, because now every single person who's bought since July of 2019 is in the green, right? All through here. And every single person who's shorted since then is in the red, unless you've shorted from that high. But it's pretty sketchy place to short, in my opinion. So now that we understand that we're right at a key level, we can still look for continuation patterns. We just have to understand that we are really right on or right below a very significant level of supply. So in my opinion, it is broken out. It has broken out. So let's go like this from a wedge. And right there. Make that nice and green, like so. Oh, that did not go there. There we go. All right. And let's just make that dotted. Maybe it's dotted is not the best. Yeah, I'll just leave that. So it just recently looks like it's broken out here. Let's look at a smaller time frame. Let's look at a 1 hour. Got a little bit of a fake out right here. But overall, it's still holding market structure because that was the previous resistance, which is holding as a new level of support. So overall, it's looking absolutely phenomenal. I would like to see this zone break because that was a recent high and we got pulled right back into it. So it'd be nice to see this zone break, and if we get a retest, that would be phenomenal. It was also the wick high right there. So that would be the key zone that I'd like to see break for XRP. But if it breaks 30 cents, it does look like a really good opportunity to be looking for a potential long. And also, if we are looking at this zone, we can see it's also an ascending triangle formation right around there. Like so. So that looks pretty good. From a large time frame to a small time frame, it looks like there's a lot of well-respected structures that are pointing and indicating, to me at least, that it's winding up for a pretty big move up. So XRP does look pretty phenomenal at this point. I was discussing the weakness of XRP relative to other alts quite a bit earlier on, but as of right now, XRP is doing a lot better. It has been a relatively strong cryptocurrency, so the viewpoint that I have on XRP has shifted to a more bullish stand, which is great because, in my opinion, it does prove its use case, and it's trying to go about the regulatory process in the right way, going through all the hoops, which some projects are not. So that's going to be my analysis for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I try to keep it a little bit shorter. Thank you for the people who did like it. Thank you for the people who watched and don't really see any questions. So that either means that there's less engagement, or it means that I did a good job explaining the markets today. So hopefully it was the second one. So hopefully everyone has a good weekend. Get some sunshine, stay safe, and I wish you all the best. Until next time, have a good one.